Okay, so I'm here today with the famous psychic gentleman, Richard Lale. He's been seen on Jubilee. He's also has made guest appearances on Ghost Adventures, and I'm happy to have him here today.
Thank you, my friend. Always a pleasure to see you.
You too, you too. So,
Thank you.
why don't you tell us about yourself a bit? Go into your
Sure.
background and mhm.
Richard Lale is my first name. It's like Jean-Luc, Peggy Sue, Mary Jane, Bobby Lou. I like to tell people that if I were just Richard, I would be a. Um, I am known as the Gentleman Psychic, and yes, I have been on Ghost Adventures and Jubilee and Anthony Padilla, and I've been on a lot of non-paranormal shows. I was on America's Next Top Model. I was on the Be in Apartment 23, Arrested Development. I've been on a few things. Um, I I live currently in New Orleans, but I have lived in many places all over the world, and I am an artist. I read tarot. I talk to the dead. I collect antiques. There's a lot there to unpack, I'm sure.
So you mentioned something that I'm very interested in. You said you talk to the dead. Tell me how that works, and what do you do to initiate that process,
Well,
talking
that
to her
is
deceased self.
that is a good question. So I have always seen things, always heard things. Now, I think that time is an illusion. Time we see the effects of it, but we don't know what it actually is. We don't really know how it works. So I believe that time is an illusion, that things sort of repeat themselves, and it's an illusion. Time is just an illusion. So when I
Yeah,
communicate with the dead, am I talking to someone who is actually dead, or am I speaking through space and time? I don't know. I have no idea. Oftentimes, if I am doing a seance, I get images, pictures, words, sounds, emotions, colors, pop culture references. Sometimes I feel things, sometimes I see things, sometimes I'll hear things audibly. Sometimes it just happens and I'm not even doing any preparation. Sometimes I think someone is very much alive and then they're gone and I find out they're not. So I don't actually know how it works, but that is what I do.
that's very incredible. Of people that are sub to my channel, Merlin of 18th Crown, know that I'm into the paranormal. I'm into spirituality. I'm into everything New Age and stuff like that, esoteric topics and stuff like that. And I'm focused on community and trying to bring people together and stuff like that. He says space time is an illusion, um, separated by the fourth dimension. A lot of people like to bring in the fourth dimension and talk about that because they don't really know what it is, except for it's just an extra dimension outside of the 3D, right? And
Right. It was Albert Einstein who came up with the theory of relativity. And the reason he came up with the theory of relativity is that his friend had died. And he got on the coach to go visit the wife, the widow of his friend. And the bus filled up, and he was lost in a trance, and he became transfixed watching the clock in the town square. And as that bus filled up, that clock ticked and ticked and ticked. The bus then pulled away, and the clock kept ticking. The bus, however, went over a hill, and when they did so, that clock became invisible. He couldn't see it anymore. And he got off the bus and he met with the widow and he said, "My friend, your husband, is like that clock. We cannot see him because he's on the other side of the hill. It doesn't mean that he doesn't exist somewhere in time."
right,
So
right, I
that
agree
sort
with
of is the
that.
way that I look at it.
That makes perfect sense. And they also say that the universe could be flowing in reverse on so as well, like it's making eight or whatever. Time is going reverse, and some people theorize, I believe, that that these aliens are just from different dimensions, different timelines, or something like that, and they're like futurists. They go on kind of different conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But that's a very interesting perspective when you talk about how time's outside or time's an illusion.
I mean, I possibly. Oftentimes, we cannot understand something that we don't. If you were to tell, for instance, someone from the 18th century, have them to describe a car. I mean, they could see glass, they could see steel, they could see screws and bolts and nuts, but they wouldn't really have any idea how to actually describe it. So that sort of is how I view it. Is that, do I see people from the future? I think so, but I don't understand, because I see them. I see things more in an old-fashioned way, because that's how I understand them. So, is it possible that I'm seeing beings from a future time? Yes, but do I understand what they look like? No, I don't. My mind translates it into something else. There's a video that goes around. Every few years, it'll pop up, and it has, you're supposed to watch the basketball, and you've got players coming and going, and the basketball gets passed throughout the entire thing. And then afterwards, it asks you, how many times was the basketball passed? And you'll come up with the answer, and it'll be 5 or 6 or 7 times. And then it'll say, did you notice the uniform change in the midpoint? And then you hadn't noticed it because you're watching the ball. And then it says, did you notice that there was a gorilla that came in the scene and walked across the stage? And you don't see it because your mind is not prepared for it. You're watching something else. Right. So do I speak to things that are in the future? I think so, but I don't understand them.
Right. It's kind of hard for I believe anybody that's mortal to truly understand these things that are like what people call God's affairs, different gods and goddesses affairs and stuff like that. We're just mortals, and I believe that our body is a damper to fully embracing what truly lies at the veil after you pierce that fully. We get glimpses of it. We poke holes in it, and it beams of the from the outside of the veil come through, and we're able to get some of that. But ultimately, we're not going to know the whole thing until we're actually, pierced it. So that's very interesting. Do you do any remote viewing or stuff like that?
Yes and no. I have helped people find necklaces and lost jewelry, and to see things that were in basements. Yes, I do. Is it something that I particularly advertise? No, I don't like to advertise that, because I'm a human being, and I say what I see. I trust my intuition, but I'm only human. So I go, well, maybe I won't do that aspect.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. So do you have any more plan future outings with any paranormal groups or anybody that's kind of like ghost hunters, ghost adventures, or any other paranormal
right now? Nothing planned at the moment. I'm always open for whatever may be, but I don't have anything specific planned right now.
So what do you think separates you from the rest of the psychics and mediums out there?
Well, all of the other psychic mediums are either doom and gloom and love and light, and I am a happy medium.
I love that. See, that's why I love you. So that's awesome. There are a lot of doom and gloomers out there, that's for sure. This day and age, we need more happy mediums, So, so I know you do tarot and other. I know you're clairvoyant. I know that. What do you think? What do you think drew you to the tarot? What do you think that is?
Well, I mean, it was sort of a necessity, I suppose. I had always been clairvoyant. I had known things since I was a kid. I knew when people were going to die. it was one of those things that I just thought that everyone knew. I would say things out loud that I thought everyone knew. Like, you have red, your shirt is red, or you're wearing a black shirt with a red thing over. It's common things. However, I was living in San Francisco, and a friend of mine said to me, "Hey, someone gave me these tarot cards and I don't want them. I think you should have them." And I said, "Oh, thanks." He says, No, I won't give them to you until you read my cards." And I said, "But I don't know what they mean." And he said, "Shut up and read my cards." So I read his cards and went, wow, that was good. That was really good. So I did it on occasion. I'd do it for parties and events and nothing major, friends if they'd ask. And then I was living in Los Angeles. I was the master of ceremonies for the Beetle House, which is a Tim Burton inspired bar and restaurant. And they were closed for renovations. And I went, oh, I have to make some money. So I posted on Facebook that I read tarot. And then it became my profession.
Yeah, that's a good story. I love Tim Burton. I'm a big fan of Tim Burton. Always have been. Especially Nightmare Before Christmas. The classic stuff like that. And Frankenweenie. Can you personally? I know this topic of magic is different for everybody, but to you, how do you define what magic is?
Magic is manipulation of the external to impact the internal. It's the manipulation of the will. Now, I do believe that does exist. I think that magic gets a bum rap. You either think it's trickery or that it's some mumbo jumbo. But to me, magic is about changing the outcome to suit you, changing things to make things better, using those around you, not doing anything that they would not want to do, not taking away their will, but helping to influence. I think that is a wonderful form of magic. Also, magic oftentimes works through electronics. It's just a funny thing. It connects to our own electromagnetic field.
Our electromagnetic biofield. I completely agree. We're all connected to the Earth's magnetic field, our consciousness, our brains, our bodies, everything. So to me, that's just that explains why ghosts, to detect them, you need like EVPs, or not EVPs. EVPs. Yeah. You get that, electromagnetic field detectors. EMF, my bad, there it is. My mind went blank. Sorry about that. You need EMF detectors, and they give off electromagnetic charge because we're in this electromagnetic field of not just Earth, but the sun as well. So thank you. I'm not going to hold you too long, but I really do appreciate you being here. But I have a couple more questions if you have the time. Okay. So what do you think Pluto going into Aquarius means overall for the collective?
Well, I'm not an astrologer, so I don't fully know, but I do know that we are all going into a tough time. There is a major reset that is happening, and anytime there is change causes chaos. There is a reason that people will go to Starbucks over a mom and pop store. It's not because the coffee is better. It's just we know what to expect. And if we go to someplace else, we don't know what to expect. So anytime that we do not understand something that is happening, it is chaotic. We are going in for a major shift. It's going to be global, and then it'll settle out. But we've got a major shift.
I agree, because if I'm not mistaken, Aquarius is like the humanitarian and technology type of sign. So will that gradually propel this generation to embrace technology like it hasn't ever in the past, like even more so than we have now? Like, what do you think it's going to keep getting like so advanced that we don't even need the whole phones anymore? We'll just have like this headset on, and we can actually be telepathic.
It will be much more than that. It'll be. The idea is to marry the man with the machine. People have always wanted more immortality, and
Right.
through that adaptation, there will be a time. And then the thing is, the machines will be conscious. They will form their own. They will be a being of themselves. In which case, then we as humans we're not needed. We're slower. We're not as intelligent. We're not as fast. There's all manner of things. I do think that there will come a time when the two will merge, and then the machines will completely take over. That is my thought.
So I know things are chaotic around the world. Every single government, I don't want to get too much in politics, but every single government is collapsing, or at least the incumbent that has been in power is being removed all across the world.
Sure.
And it seems like people are more divided than ever before. And I just think, like, I don't really I'm an optimist, or try to be, but it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better anytime soon globally. But the sign of Aquarius is a humanitarian collective one about equality, justice, fairness, and a common collective cause. I know Pluto is a generational planet, so it could take the whole, period of it being an Aquarius for that to happen. So do you have?
It will.
Yeah.
I think for the world to realize it's going to get worse before it gets better, and I think that it could take 50 years.
I do too. But there's some people that believe that just because we're in it right now, it's going to get better overnight, like magically snap your fingers, and that's not really how things work, is it?
No, change is never quick. It is never quick. It happens gradually and slowly. People use the analogy of the frog in a pot, boiling, slowly turning up the heat. I mean, a frog would honestly jump out long before that because they're not really that stupid. But the idea is the same, is that it's that gradual change, and then there's nothing that we can do. It's also, if you think about the Overton window. So if this is normal in the center, and then I move it the camera just a little bit, now I am left of center. And if I keep doing that, keep moving that camera, before long, I am not even in frame.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. So if people want to reach you, what's the best way, or just, what's the best way for them to reach out to you if they want to have any questions?
I'm at thegentlemanpsychic.com, but I don't really check my emails as much as I should. The best way to find me is on Instagram or on Facebook, and you could message me there. Richard Lale Lillard, Lillard, or the Gentleman Psychic. I usually respond fairly well to the Parlor of the Gentleman Psychic, which is Instagram, or the Gentleman Psychic on Instagram. They're both me. I usually respond there a lot faster than anything else.
Well, I just want to let you know you're my first major interview, my first interview at all. So that's amazing on when Pluto enters Aquarius, so that's good. So thank you so much for being here.
Welcome, my friend.
And hopefully in the future, if you want to come back, please feel free to
I would be
message
delighted.
me. Come back. Thank you. All right. Thank you.